Hello, welcome to my class. Good morning, students. Today we will discuss a poem by W.B. Yeats, which is in your syllabus in third semester CC 6 paper. Okay, so before going to the detailed analysis of the text, I want to tell you a few words regarding W.B. Yeats, though not in detail because you have already read this in your CC1 paper, or I think you will read in the due course of your course. And so to be very subtle, W.B. Yeats was a modern poet, and he is also, or he was also, a symbolist poet. You know, symbolist movement, symbolism or symbolist movement was a movement which started in late 19th century, and it was popular in France. But W.B. Yeats actually, in most of his poems, used symbols to express his sensation in his heart's feeling, etc., etc. So he can be called a symbolist poem in that regard. And W.B. Yeats was born in 1865, and he died in 1939. Actually, his poems are replete with various symbols, which are both among which there are both traditional symbol and private symbols. Okay, so now today we will be going through his seminal poem, The Second Coming, which was written in 1919 and which was published in 1921. Now, at first, we have to know regarding the title of the poem. Actually, Second Coming, the title Second Coming has been taken from Bible. Actually, there is a biblical allusion in case of the title. This title has been taken from the book of Revelation, or which is better known as Apocalypse. And according to biblical belief, Jesus Christ will come back after 2000 years, actually. So in a new form of a new animal, and that is called Second Coming. Why? To restore peace, to restore mankind. That is the belief according to the Bible. And here you can or we can say that there is an analogy also in between this belief of W.B. Yeats and the belief of and the words of Srimad Bhagavad Gita by Sri Krishna. Actually, in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Lord Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmatsa glanir bhavati bharata adbhuttanam adharmasya tadadmanam srijamaham paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya ch duskritam sambhavami dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Okay, so now come to the text. We will shift directly into the text, and I will try my best to give you certain new ideas regarding the text, regarding the interpretations, because there are so many interpretations in YouTube or any other channels, and so I will try my best to provide you a kind of a few new interpretations of the text. So students, please listen to the text carefully. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Okay, so Actually, when W.B. Yeats wrote this poem, we have to remember three important things behind the composition of the poem. Three important events shook the whole world. Number one, it was the First World War. It was the Irish War of Independence and Russian Revolution. So, in the bleak backdrop of these three events, W.B. Yeats had written this poem. So, turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Gyre actually is a symbol which is used by W.B. Yeats to describe or to symbolize the historical movement of historical era, or sweeping of the historical movement. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. There is also a symbol in the falcon and the falconer. It is the fact that world has become full of anarchy. We will come to that in the due course of the text. World has become full of anarchy. So human beings have lost their faith. And here very significantly, falcon and the falconer can be compared to that of God and human beings. Number one, number two, as human beings have lost their faith, they have lost their faith in God due to this kind of tumultuous situation. And widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. And the very diacope and the polypteton. Diacope and the polypteton are two figures of speech. Diacope is the repetition of the same word. When repetition of the same word with an intervening word in between that word. Here, turning and turning is an example of diacope, and polypteton is the repetition of the words which are of same origin. That means which have been derived from the same root. So you note the word falcon and falconer. These are the example of, or this is an example of polypteton. So why this is used? Actually, this is used to describe the tumultuous situation, describe the faithless condition of human beings. And again, we can say that falcon stands for environment, because it is an animal of environment, and falconer. So human beings have lost faith, or human beings have no faith in environment. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. As I have already told you that W.B. Yeats uses the symbol of gyre in many of his poems, and in this poem also the symbol of gyre is a motif, is a leitmotif, is a recurrent symbol. From the very first line to the very last line, there is that symbol of gyre. Actually, in case of a gyre, there is a spiral movement, and which is centrifugal. So things fall apart, center cannot hold. As in case of a gyre, there is a centrifugal movement, so the center is receding. That means human beings have lost their faith. Center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. I have already told you that W.B. Yeats wrote this poem in the bleak backdrop of First World War. So there was mere anarchy. Mere anarchy here means pure anarchy. The whole world is full of anarchy. There is no order. There is topsy-turvy. There is tumultuous situation. There is a very bad situation. So mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dim tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. Yes. As a result of this anarchy, as a result of this disorderedness, there is nothing which can be called innocent. Actually, the blood-dim tide refers to the bloodstained condition after the First World War, the devastating condition after the First World War. So it is a direct reference to the First World War. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, where the worst are full of passionate intensity. Yes, there is a kind of epigram. Yes, why? Because there is a difference, there is a contradiction between best and worst. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. So yes, as I have already told you, that there is no order, there is no good thing. Evil surpasses the good one. And very significantly enough, if we see this stanza very minutely, we will find that it is like a news bulletin, as if the poet speaker is stating this this incident as like that of a news. Okay, so this is the, to some extent, analysis of the first stanza, and I think I will give you some material in my offline classes, and that may help you to read further regarding this. Now come to the next next stanza, second stanza actually, and it is very subjective in nature. If you read the second stanza, you will find that it is very subjective in nature. Yes, the earlier stanza was objective in nature. Why? Because I have already told you that it was in the form of, as if in the form of a news bulletin. Now come to the second stanza. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming, hardly are those words out, when a vast image of spiritus mundi troubles my sight. Okay, this is very important. Surely some revelation is at hand. Yes, the poet speaker have the conviction that there will be some revelation, there will be some apocalypse. That means, obviously, it is hinted by the poet speaker that the revelation, the second coming of Christ is at knocking, or is knocking at the door of civilization. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely second coming is at hand. I have already told you regarding second coming. Second coming means the coming of Jesus Christ in a new form of an animal. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming, hardly are those words when a vast image out of spiritus mundi troubles my sight. The phrase spiritus mundi is very important in case of W.B. Yeats. Why? Because according to Yeats, or Yeats believed that each and every intellect is related to a universal great intellect. That means each and every person's intellectuality takes inspiration from a great universal intellectuality. So that is called spiritus mundi. And in case of Yeats, W.B. Yeats, or according to W.B. Yeats, these works as the poetic inspiration. Now you can question me, why did W.B. Yeats believe that? Actually, W.B. Yeats believed in many W.B. Yeats actually believed in many occult beliefs. And spiritus mundi, nowadays modern critics are of the opinion that it is the very idea like that of Carl Jung's idea of great memory or rash memory. So the second coming, hardly are those words out when a vast image of spiritus mundi troubles my sight. Yes, some critics are of the opinion that spiritus mundi is a kind of unconscious state of human mind. As a result of that, the poet speaker vision is blurred. Okay, that's why he says that it troubles my sight. The spiritus mundi troubles my sight. But note the word. Hardly are those words out when a vast image of note the assonance of a sound in hardly, are, in the word hardly, are, and vast. The R sound suggests the stealthy movement, the slow pace of the beast. Yes. Why? Because we know that in the second coming, during the second coming, Jesus Christ will appear to restore mankind in the form of a beast. So the assonance in the word a establishes the slow pace of this beast. That means as if it creates an impression as if the beast is coming slowly. Troubles my sight, and as a result of that, his sight, the sight of the poet speaker, is blurred. But very significantly enough, in the next line, that assonance is drawn away. A waste of desert sand, a shape with lion body and the head of a man. A gaze blank and pitiless as the sun. Very important. Troubles my sight, a waste of desert sand, a shape with lion body and the head of a man. A waste of desert sand. You know, sand, desert, these are what? These are lifeless. There is no life in a desert. Still, the poet speaker uses the sand and desert as the place from where this grotesque creature will come. Why? Because the poet speaker wanted to intensify the horror of the appearance of the beast, and on the other hand, it will come to destroy the world full with evil forces, full with sin, etc., etc. So my sight, a waste of desert sand, a shape with lion body and a head of a man. Yes, if we see this creature, it is a grotesque creature. It is not fully human. It is not fully an animal. In Hindu mythology, we find a kind of this kind of shape, this kind of animal, and which is called Narasimha. Okay, so it is like that of a sphinx, which is a head of a lion and body, head of a lion and the body of a human being. So a shape with lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun. Remember, the poet speaker uses the phrase blank and pitiless as the sun. In traditional imagery, in traditional sense, sun is associated with goodness. Sun is not pitiless. Sun is associated with life. Sun is associated with vigority. Sun is associated with vitality, etc. But here, sun is given the epithet to be pitiless. Why? Because this beast, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, because this beast will be a pitiless one, because he will come, or it will come to destroy this world of anarchy, to establish order. Is moving its slow thighs, while all about it wind shadows of the indignant desert bird. Yes, it is moving slowly, again and again, again and again. The poet speaker is giving the hint that the animal is coming. And if we see the Bible, actually, it says that this animal would be there after 2000 years. That means the second coming of Jesus Christ will be there after the 2000 years of Christ's birth. So it is already the 20th century. So it's the time, and that is why the poet speaker is using the present tense here. That means to give us the hint that it is knocking at the door of civilization. This sphinx-like creature, or this grotesque creature, is actually knocking at the door of civilization, is moving slow thighs, while all about wind soars of the indignant desert bird. Yes, once again, the imagery of desert and desert bird. Why? Because whenever this beast will come, he will destroy human beings. He will destroy the civilization. It will destroy the civilization. As a result of that, what will be there? As a result of that, these birds, these desert birds, will get so much flesh. So wind shadows of indignant desert bird. Now come to the next stanza. The darkness drops again, bound, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. Yes, the darkness drops again, but now I know. Why? The darkness drops again. As I have already told you, again and again, W.B. Yeats uses the image of spiritus mundi. It is an unconscious self. So the darkness drops again. That means the imagination is coming, but it is full of darkness. But now I am, as the imagination is coming out of the spiritus mundi, or the great mind, so it is full of darkness, drops again and again. But now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. Here lies the aim of coming of the new animal, new beast. The 20th century of stony sleep were vexed nightmare by a rocking cradle. Yes, it will come to destroy this world. And what rough beasts its hour come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. Again, note the words, Bethlehem to be born, and rough beast is, and what the rough beast its hour come round at last. What the rough beast? Yes, it is very destructive in nature. Why? Because anarchy has covered the whole world. There is no humanity. There is only evil things. And the poet speaker have the conviction that this new animal will come to restore, to save the humanity, to restore the civilization. What rough beast is come, its hour come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. Slouches. Note the word slouches. Slouches means moved slowly. So the slow pace, stealthy pace, again and again, the slow pace is hinted here again and again in the poem. And now note the words Bethlehem to be born. These are very important because there is the heavy bow sound. Why? It gives a lively nature to the beast, and it hints at the fact again and again that the beast is coming. That means it is the time for Christ's second coming, towards the Bethlehem, slouches towards the Bethlehem to be born. And at the beginning of the poem, I have told you that Jair, the imagery of Jair, and according to W.B. Yeats, every historical era is in contrary with its next era. As a result of that, the ending of a certain era announced the beginning of a new era. And at the last line, the sense of Jair, the very image of Jair, is once again prominent, because with the end of this era, a new era will begin. A new era will begin with the coming of the Christ in the form of a beast, or rather sphinx. Okay, students, thank you very much.